Hi, my name is Tina Willis and I'm a personal injury attorney in Orlando, Florida. And I just wanted to answer some questions today that I often receive about what clients can expect during a personal injury lawsuit, because many people who are involved in a car accident or some other accident that caused an injury to them have never been involved in any legal proceeding before, particularly not a type of civil lawsuit other than, say, like a family law matter, which is very different, but sometimes even not, that they haven't even been involved in a family law case. So I wanted to explain kind of what you can expect, and I also encourage you to read a more detailed article on my website on the same topic, and the link to that will be below this YouTube video. But basically, when an accident happens, it's important that you get medical treatment right away and contact, hopefully, me right away, so that you can get the ball rolling on preserving evidence and preparing your case for an ultimate lawsuit. So during the preliminary stages before a lawsuit is filed, which can last several months, your lawyer will be investigating the case, and often that includes evaluating exactly what happened during the accident, trying to figure out who really was at fault or whether it was a combination of different parties being at fault, and also checking out what's going on with your medical treatment and following your medical treatment very carefully, because in terms of proving your injuries, your medical treatment is definitely a very important aspect, and that would include medical records and what your doctors had to say in those records and that kind of thing. So this will last for a few months. Also, if I was your attorney, I would be notifying the insurance company that I represent you, making sure the defendant is preserving evidence that might be needed in your case, and otherwise just making sure all of the evidence that's going to be needed in your case is being preserved properly in all the ways that needs to happen. So through that whole process, you're getting medical treatment, I'm reviewing your medical records, and then within a few months we would have an idea of what we think an insurance company should pay on your claim. Oh, and by the way, we would also be, during that time, trying to figure out all the different insurance coverage that might apply to your case, because it's not always obvious. There could be different policies that apply that besides just the most obvious. Let's say if a truck is being driven by a company employee, well, that company employee may also have insurance that applies, and there are just a lot of different scenarios. So we want to make sure we know all the money that is available potentially to cover your injuries, and then we want to know what your injuries are and how the accident has impacted your life. And so I will gather all that information and then prepare a very detailed demand letter to send to the insurance company detailing, what's happened to you, how the accident has affected you. And I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about all of the ways that the accident has affected their life and exactly how they are suffering, and try to portray that in writing as best I can to the insurance company. The insurance company will generally reply. Oftentimes they're not reasonable, particularly on a first attempt. And if they cannot be persuaded, then a lawsuit has to be filed. A lawsuit starts with a complaint, and the defendant usually files an answer. So the plaintiff, that would be you if you were injured in a car accident and somebody else caused the accident, files the lawsuit, which again is called a complaint. The defendant files an answer, and then begins this long process. There's also a process called discovery that goes on for many months right after a lawsuit is filed, and that's where both parties are trying to figure out the evidence that the other party has and what evidence is available to prove their case. This can include written questions called interrogatories, oral questions in the form of depositions, which are taken down by a court reporter, the questions and the answers. And those depositions can be used in trial, and they can also be used in various motions that attorneys file with the court to try to get all sorts of relief that might be available. For example, attorneys can file motions to limit evidence in the case. Attorneys can file motions to compel the other side to give a certain type of discovery that for whatever reason the other party is unwilling to give. And also experts can very often can be involved, and experts have to be prepared. They can also be subject to discovery, and motions can be filed related to those experts to limit the experts, to preclude the experts from even testifying, and all sorts of other things. So there's really just, you know, thousands of pages of law actually that attorneys have to learn in order to best advocate for their clients, and in each case, believe it or not, is different. But the whole process of discovery and filing all these motions is ultimately leading to a trial, which, by the way, you might not get to because some of the motions can be motions to dismiss your case entirely. And those are beyond what I could even explain to someone in a short period of time. But let's just say there's a lot involved in combating motions that are filed back and forth between lawyers all the way up to trial. If you get to trial, which could be anywhere from generally 1 year to a few years, depending on the amount in controversy and the complexity of the lawsuit in general, then the trial may only be a few days, or it could be a few weeks. But then after the trial, a jury would deliberate and reach a verdict. Very often cases settle, but the key to an effective settlement is effective preparation throughout the lawsuit so that the other side knows you mean business and that you are prepared to advocate all the way through trial. And so that's the basics of what happens during a lawsuit. I guess my purpose of explaining this is for people not to get so frustrated that lawsuits take time, and to understand that the time, as long as your attorney is preparing your case, the time is well spent, because in the end it can help you get a larger amount from the insurance company if the preparation has gone as well as it should. So if you have any more questions, I hope you'll give me a call, and thanks so much for listening.